Welcome back. You're watching The Front Row. I am Akisa Wandera, speaking to Dr. James Mwangi, CEO and MD of the Equity Group Holdings, as well as Phyllis Wakiaga, who's the CEO of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Thank you for staying with us. We're on the last part of the conversation before we wrap it up at the top of the hour. Let's talk about the MSMEs. And Ms. Wakiaga really spoke to it before we went on a break, and the turnover tax. But we're also talking about partnerships that we have seen during the COVID-19 period that were meant to cushion the MSMEs. Equity Bank, I gather, along with partners, gave out about 350 million, if I'm not wrong. Dr. Mwangi, how did we select these MSMEs, and what impact has this had? How did we decide which ones are we helping, and what have we seen from that?
I think SMEs represent the true face of our entrepreneurship. SMEs provide about 90% of the employment in this country. So it's really a critical plank for the success of this country. They provide livelihoods, support to millions of families, and provide most of the people with opportunities to earn a decent living. As a result, it was very important for the government and the private sector to have a concerted effort to align and ensure that SMEs remain strong and are not affected by structural challenges. As Wakiaga said, the most important thing was policy consistency, that they are not affected. And that is what has allowed the private sector like Equity Bank to say, we'll do whatever it takes to ensure that the SMEs remain in business. And the best we could do was to give them waiver for loan repayment during periods that they were not having cash flows. If the business is closed, then you don't demand, because then you are just you are crippling businesses. You are killing livelihoods. That was the most important thing. But having done that, we know we now have a vaccine for COVID, and it's coming to an end. The question is, how do we get the SMEs back to business?
Right.
And Equity Bank, starting with MasterCard Foundation, developed a program we call Young Africa Works. And this is a program, MasterCard has put $72 million of its own funds, so that is about 7.5 billion shillings, as a guarantee fund to support us to be able to lend to everybody who is in micro, small, and medium enterprises,
right,
by de-risking us or sharing with us risk. But we felt that given the responsibility, that was not enough. So we went to what is now being called Team Europe, that's about 7 development banks. And they added $350 million. That's almost 40 billion shillings. So in total, we have about 50 billion shillings of guarantees that helps us to mitigate the risk of lending this sector. On its side, Equity Bank has been able to borrow 80 billion shillings in long-term lending from development banks, and has put aside 4.2 billion US dollars, or 420 billion. So in total, we have $500 billion shillings of liquid funds that we want to push to support the SMEs. The SMEs now, most of them have repurposed their businesses, they have retooled their businesses, they know what works, what are the new opportunities, and we want to fund them to get into that. The objective is then for the SMEs to retain jobs and to create more jobs. Together with MasterCard, we believe by releasing the $500 billion shillings to SMEs under the guarantee of 50 billion shillings, we'll be able to create 5 million jobs in SMEs over the next 5 years. And that is what the great lace, we are calling it the Marshall Plan to get Young Africa Works, is all about.
So it was a blanket intervention for all MSMEs?
It's for all. We are leaving none behind, and we think this will help us to build Kenya better, more resilient, and we'll have particularly the young people getting into business. We know how difficult it is to get a job now, but we are saying, can we be creative? Can we be innovative? And we're saying The government has also come very strongly with the policy. They are building up policies on the big four. The big four is what we are focusing on. With this money, so that SMEs are supported by policy, they are supported by guarantee, and they are supported by funding.
I'm glad that you mentioned innovation, because at the beginning you started by saying that you waived off mobile transactions because, well, everyone was now operating with their mobile phones. So then we are supporting these businesses. But are there any fintech innovations that we came with to help these businesses digitize?
One of the greatest achievements that Kenya has registered during the COVID is digitization. We have all embraced online business. If you look at Equity Bank, 98% of all transactions are now happening outside the branches. People have embraced. And you can see it's no longer the little money transfer for social payments. We're now doing business using social tools as a payment tool. That's one big thing. Look at shopping. Shopping has also gone significantly online. And it's not just shopping for goods, but even things like food. We are paying for food, and deliveries are then following online. So that transformation of the economy will make our economies very efficient. And I guess this will be more of a game changer, because it creates an enabling environment for young people to get connected and to be excited by the opportunities, because the solutions are what they desire.
Back to you, Phyllis, and I'd also like you to talk about, helping MSMEs, now use the digital platform in conducting their business. But then what will the role of the association and the sector generally be in promoting business recovery in the country as we go forward? What do you foresee happening?
Thanks for that. First of all, for SMEs, we have an SME hub at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. And what we've done is we've tailor-made our services based on the industry challenges, because manufacturing is a unique sector. So we've identified the key challenges are around raw material supply, the issues of access to credit and capital, the issues around the technical human capacity, technology for processing, product development, innovation, amongst others. So we've started by identifying the problem. Then what we have then is an approach under the SME Hub. We want to first facilitate and enable the SMEs through very sector-specific support. Within the association, we have 14 sectors, so we are able to go a bit more granular in terms of the support we give. Then we give training and capacity building development to our SMEs. And then we also work on the policy development and advocacy to remove any barriers in the business environment that is stifling the growth of SMEs in the country. So in terms of capacity building, we look at it in 3 levels. We have incubation services, acceleration, and scale-up services. So incubation is basically for entry-level SMEs in manufacturing. And here we give startup support. We assist them with business diagnostic so that they are able to identify what the real issues are in the business, financial literacy. We also do SME boot camps and mentoring services. We have volunteers who have volunteered to mentor the SMEs. And then we have the acceleration services. In this bucket, we look at market linkages, the financial linkages programs. We are also able to carry out study tours for SMEs in manufacturing. We support them with standards and certification of their products. And we also have mentoring and coaching support. We also have e-commerce support. We support them to get on different e-commerce platforms where we have agreements. And then for the scale-up services, these are now the manufacturing SMEs who have grown to a level where they want to scale up their businesses. They're even looking at internationalizing and getting into the export market. We support them with a business growth program, which has modules that enable them to accelerate and scale up their businesses. We also have value chain linkages program, because now you're looking at your entire value chain and how you can drive up efficiencies within the value chain. We have governance programs, because of course you want to ensure that you're setting up businesses with the right governance in place. And we create the financial market linkages and the export market linkages. So those are some of the things we do to support the SMEs within the manufacturing sector. And last year was a year where we did a lot of that handholding, and we continue to do it into this year. So as we look into the future, what we are keen on is still the business environment reforms, where we want to see competitiveness addressed, because if we're going to be able to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, the local market opportunities, competitiveness is really at the heart of it. So that's something that remains our clarion call even for this year, that we need to bring down the cost of doing business so that more people are able to do business. We're also keen on market access for the domestic, regional, international markets. So really appreciative of the work that has been done by CS Betty Maina and her team to open up some of these key markets, including the UK, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, amongst others. What we are really keen about also is the review of the East African Common External Tariff, because that will really unlock opportunities for local manufacturing, because we'll be able to align our tariffs to the local realities in terms of these opportunities. Because what you find is that some products are sitting at higher tariffs, and if you're able to then look at the value chain approach, you'll see more people investing in manufacturing within the country. And then lastly, the predictability and stability of the policy environment is also critical for us. And of course, ensuring that even as we respond to the pandemic, that we do it with the issue of sustainability in mind, so that we are advancing green manufacturing within the country, so that even as we grow into all these areas of manufacturing, the need to really have a clean and green environment remains at the heart of everything, and that we really drive the circular economy agenda.
Dr. Mwangi, I'd like to ask you a question I asked Phyllis Wakiaga before on whether we have seen any opportunities in your sector, in the banking sector, during this COVID-19 period that we will perhaps take advantage of going forward. It could be consumer behavior that has changed. We're now looking at everyone, doing a lot of transactions on mobile. So what are we looking at going forward that we can leverage on?
The banking industry have taken COVID as a tailwind for change of customer behavior. And that is why we give free mobile transactions to allow customers to embrace. In the process, banks in Kenya will be some of the most transformed banks in terms of digitization. Banking will cease to be where you go to what you do on the devices, particularly the mobile device. That will have immense benefits to the banking industry, in the sense that it will move banking from a fixed cost business to a variable cost business. And it will also reduce the cost-income ratio. And that is why banks can pass the benefits that they have been passing to the customers. The second thing is that we see greater integration. For instance, Equity Bank has been able to expose its APIs for young developers who are very keen innovating, using the tools and the capabilities of the bank. And we have signed up with the Nairobi University Innovation Center and Meru University of Science and Technology, just to allow even the universities to use our infrastructure, not for theoretical innovations, but practical innovations geared towards our customers. And lastly is that by exposing our APIs, we are now able to give the capabilities of the bank to our customer ecosystem. The big companies can now be able to process loans for their customers, for their distributors and wholesalers using the Equity platform. So that ability has truly transformed banking in Kenya. And we must say that in every crisis, there is a silver lining. And the banks have not wasted this crisis. It has turned it into a positive opportunity.
And we'll definitely be seeing how that goes. Looking at our economic recovery strategy, what do you think we should pay most attention to going forward? And as Equity Group, how do you intend to support these efforts?
I think as a government, the most important thing is to realize that the global supply chains have been disrupted, and that has really leveled the playing field. Those who had previous advantages have now been brought to the same level because the world has been transformed. We're now talking of a very digitized world, and Kenya, particularly given its innovative approach, has a head start than most of the countries. And the question is then, working together as a society, as a community of Kenyans, to really take advantage of these opportunities. This will require the government to take leadership, and as Wakiaga has just said, The Ministry of Trade, led by Betty Maina, has been very, very instrumental in ensuring that happens. But policy consistency, as she has advocated, is very important so that we're not dealing with the small issues when there are huge opportunities that we all should be focused on. But I think it's also incentives. Incentive policy system that direct resources in the right place. We must know what our priorities are. We must know what we are best at and guide our people. And lastly, I think it's the focus to ensure none of the businesses is left behind. We must ensure that we build Kenya better. We shouldn't build Kenya the way it was. We should build Kenya better directly by ensuring opportunities for wealth creation, opportunities for jobs are evenly distributed. And I'm very excited to see what is happening, like today when I saw TSE appealing for teachers training colleges for all, almost going back to the old days.
Right.
So that is very important that nobody. And I think it's at this, if you allow me, I would like also to appeal to Kenyans that Equity Group Foundation has 10 billion shillings to build capacity to the SMEs, financial literacy and entrepreneurship. And we ourselves as a bank, we have half a trillion shillings to give out to our SMEs. So none of us should be shy to take advantage of this position. And we are saying we have guarantees that can support loans of up to 50 billion for those who may say they don't have securities. So it is better everybody takes a step of faith and want to be part and parcel. And let's build Kenya together. Right. Everybody has a role to play, and we'll facilitate that as the Equity Group together with the rest of the private sector corporates.
Right, very encouraging. I want to give each of you under a minute. I'll start with you, Phyllis. Looking at the opportunities, how resilient we have been, would you say we are on the right track? What are your final thoughts on this?
My final thoughts is that we are keen to see local industry take up the opportunities that exist. And at the heart of it, we want to see how we can create jobs and also link whatever we are doing to other sectors of the economy. I think for manufacturing, agriculture is one of the sectors that really stands to benefit if we are able to build local value chains and build local value addition. So that's something that we are really looking at keenly. And the other one is really the competitiveness and productivity at farm level, because that way we make ourselves the manufacturing hub for Africa. If we are able to keep our policy stable, if we're able to bring down the cost of production locally, we are then going to see more investments coming into the country. COVID-19 has indeed shown that there is going to be a shift in supply chains and people are going to really look at new places to produce. So Kenya really needs to position itself to be the manufacturing hub for Africa. So we'll continue to engage with government and work with the sector to take advantage of all the opportunities that are emerging so that we create jobs and opportunities for the people of Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Mwangi, I'll end with a question that I've seen here. What were some of your greatest lessons during this period?
Two lessons start out for me. The first one is on the resilience of Kenya and the Kenyan people. Kenya is one of the very few countries in the world that didn't go into recession. We still managed to register 0.6% growth rate. And a projection by the World Bank and Ministry of Finance and Central Bank suggests this year we'll register a 7% growth rate. That ability to bounce back demonstrated the resilience and the innovativeness of Kenyans. The second aspect that I've learned a lot is the resilience and the capacity of human beings to rise to challenges. The speed at which we were able to produce PPEs in this country for self-sufficiency and export, they demonstrate. And as Phyllis has just said, now the motor industry has produced even machines now for ICU.
Right.
That ability is something that we should not lose too. And lastly, let's not be skeptical. Sometimes I think we judge ourselves too harshly. We think, let's see the good side of ourselves.
Right.
There's resilience. And lastly is the generosity of Kenyans. We as the COVID board, were able to raise 3 billion shillings from the generous hearts of Kenyans.
Yes.
They rose us to support one another.
Yes.
We saw this again when we, Kenyans, when we were dealing with Turkana issue. So that ability to share between ourselves has become a very important learning for me.
Right. Lessons, great lessons. What are your lessons as you watch us from home? It's a conversation we hope to have again. Thank you very much for joining us for this conversation. Dr. James Mwangi is the MD and Group CEO, Equity Group Holdings. I hope you have been encouraged and challenged that we are able to turn things around individually, as corporates, and as a country. And finally, Phyllis Wakiaga, CEO, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, also really throwing a challenge for us to keep going. Keep those ideas coming. There's a lot of support out here for you if you're looking at the right places. Thank you for tuning in here on the Front Row. I am Akisa Wandera. It was a pleasure having you here for this conversation. Till next time, stay blessed.